I do remember the time when my friend forced me to watch Game of Thrones. In fact, he encouraged me to watch Game of Thrones. And yesterday, after, what should I say? Yesterday, after when I was watching it and I completed season 1, my thoughts changed. And start, I was like, what is this series? In fact, like, ये सीरीज किस दिशा में चल रही है, ये सीरीज किस एंगल में चल रही है. लेकिन बाद में पता चला, back in 2011 HBO took a massive gamble on a genre that Hollywood had spent decades mostly ruining, and that genre was high fantasy. Before Game of Thrones, the genre was largely pigeonholed as a niche playground for elves, wizards, and children's literature. But HBO took a dense, sprawling, unadaptable book series and turned it into the biggest cultural phenomenon of the 21st century. And before the massive armies, before the divisive final seasons, and before the dragons filled the skies, there was just a story. A tight, brutal, brilliantly executed political thriller. Today we are taking a deep dive into Game of Thrones Season 1. I'm going to be reviewing, breaking down everything about how it works, why it works, and how it changed television forever, and why it remains as a masterclass for a setup. To understand Season 1 is so brilliant, why Season 1 is so brilliant, we have to look at how it establishes its sprawling world, its growing world, without even overwhelming the audience. The core premise is deceptively simple. King Robert Baratheon, a war hero turned very hard drinking ruler, travels north to the remote freezing fortress of Winterfell. He wants to ask his old friend Eddard Ned Stark, to serve as the Hand of King, essentially the realm's chief administrator and right hand man. Ned accepts, even though hesitantly. At the end, he accepts, packing up part of his family and moving to the south to the capital, King's Landing, a city rotting with death, corruption, and backstabbing. But the show doesn't just stay in one place. We are pulled across the map into three distinct, compelling narrative tracks: the north and the capital, the first part. The political chess match as Ned tries to uncover why the previous hand died. The wall, thousands of miles away at the edge of the world, where an ancient frozen wasteland holds secrets that no one in power cares about. Across the narrow seas, where the exiled remnants of the fallen Targaryen dynasty, Viserys and Daenerys, are trying to survive and claw back to a throne. What and let me tell you, what makes this storyline so addictive is that it's a political thriller disguised as a fantasy. There are no clear-cut good guys saving the day. Everyone has a motive, everyone has a secret, and every single choice has a ripple effect. Now let's talk about episode structure and the pacing. Let's talk about the construction of the season itself. Season 1 consists of 8 episodes, with each episode running roughly to 50 to 60 or more than that minutes, or nearly to an hour. Is it 8 episodes or 10 episodes? I do not know, but I finished it early. Actually, I didn't even look at the episodes. I looked at the end and I got to know that I was in season 2, which I'm going to be giving out a review soon enough. But now let's review season 1. Let's continue this. When we look at modern prestige television, 10 episodes or 8 episodes, I don't give a fuck, but I've seen it. I didn't knew that I shifted into season 2. But 10 episodes is the golden standard, or 8 episodes is the golden standard. But setting up the standard is not the important part here. The important part is execution. Season 1 is masterclass in pacing. Any series, if you see, season 1 should be always the best. That is when you can increase your chances of creating further seasons. It doesn't front load the action, nor does it drag its feet. The early episode acts as a slow burn. They establish the geography, the culture, the deeply entranced family dynamics of the Starks, of the Lannisters, and the Baratheons. The middle stretch accelerates the tension. Clues are uncovered, alliances are fractured, and the chessboard gets smaller and more dangerous. The final third of the season pays off every single seed planted in the pilot. Every single minute of those 55-minute run times earns its place. There is virtually no filler because the quietest conversations in dimly lit rooms are quietly shifting the balance of power. Now let's talk about the setting and atmosphere. One of the main reasons fantasies fail on the screen is that it often looks fake, like a collection of shiny costumes on a soundstage. Game of Thrones is exactly opposite of that. Game of Thrones has avoided this by treating its settings like the character themselves. By filming on location using sun-baked calcified stone, yes, they have filmed it in real places like Malta or Northern Ireland or Northern Iceland. That is where they have shot these places. Let me tell you, Lord of the Rings was entirely shot on green screen, whereas this web series, this season was entirely shot in real places. Now let me continue. By filming on location using the sun-baked calcified stone of Malta to represent the decaying grandeur of King's Landing and the damp freezing green landscapes of Northern Ireland for Winterfell, the show gained an undeniable texture. You could practically feel the grit under the characters' fingernails. The camera work reinforces this grounded, documentary style reality. The camera doesn't fly around flashy, disorienting CGI swoops. It stays close, lingering on subtle reactions, a tight jaw, a fleeing glance of panic, a smirk across the dinner table. It makes massive sweeping castles feel intimate, and intimate conversations feel terrifyingly high stakes. Let me tell you, the intimate scenes in this series is fucking worse. Sorry, as I tried to, is goddamn worse. Sorry, I didn't want it to curse out, but it just came out because after looking at the series, I was traumatized. Like, I couldn't look at my eyes, look at my goddamn eyes. I couldn't even take a wink at other people because after looking at this series, the camera work, what should I say, reinforces this grounded documentary style reality. The camera doesn't fly around, and when the characters are set up at the freezing wall, the blue-gray color grading, yes, how can I say, when you're in a colder environment, your body starts going blue because of the cold. That blue and grayish color grading, it makes you genuinely want to reach for a blanket because the entire setting is cold, brutal, but at the same time warm and capturing. Now let's talk about actors and character development. If you have the setting built, the world, the cast brings it to life. The casting of season 1 is nothing of short but legendary. You have Sean Bean, who plays as Ned Stark, anchoring the entire emotional core of the show with a tired, honorable gravity. You have Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister, effortlessly stealing scenes with biting wit that serves as his only armor in a family that despises him. Lena Headey that plays Cersei Lannister with the cold, calculating intensity that makes you terrified for her even when she's just pouring wine. And Emilia Clarke, let me tell you, Emilia Clarke was absolutely phenomenal in this. Her breakout role, undergoing a breathtaking psychological transformation from a terrified pawn like girl into a fierce commanding leader. And thus, that brings us to the real triumph of this season, character development. In standard televisions, characters usually fit into a neat boxes. In season 1, no one is a static archetype. No one is a static archetype. The shows constantly challenges your own allegiances. Characters you initially hate reveal heartbreaking vulnerabilities. And a character you love makes catastrophic short-sighted mistakes. Everyone is flawed. Everyone is vulnerable, and everyone is changing in real-time response to the brutal pressures of their environment. Let me tell you, this fantasy trope of no, the hero always makes correct decisions is bullshit. This shows that during harsh, high stakes, high pressure environment, how a human or how a Westeros kingdom or a Westeros realm citizen on top of that makes short-sighted mistakes, which I always like because that shows the reality of human nature. When you put a person in a high pressure, he starts to cry. Only a strong-minded individual can tolerate that high pressure environment and still take correct decisions. Now let's say the power of dialogue. In a world filled with knights and armors, the sharpest weapon in season 1 isn't a Valyrian steel sword, it's conversation. The dialogue was written by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, and contributions from George R.R. Martin himself, who is also the author of A Game of Thrones. And A Game of Thrones is just a book in the series A Song of Ice and Fire. Scenes in this season are often just two people talking in a room, but they function like high-stake knife fights. Think of a character like Lord Varys or Patriarch Baelish, the master manipulators of the court. When they speak, they aren't just giving expositions, they are weaving webs. They are feeling out weaknesses, testing loyalties, and shifting the board without ever swinging a blade. Because the writing treats the audiences with the respect, you actually have to listen. If you zone out for 30 seconds, you might miss a subtle piece of political maneuvering that comes back to shatter a character 3 episodes later. Now let's look at the impact and verdict. So what is the ultimate verdication of Game of Thrones Season 1? Its impact on the television landscape cannot be overstated. It proved that audiences were starved for complexes, adult-oriented fantasy that treated its viewers like intelligent adults. It broke the traditional hero's journey mold by reminding us that in the real world and in Westeros, being morally good doesn't grant you plot armor. Season 1 is lean, it is focused, and it is arguably the tightest, most cohesive block of storytelling the network ever produced. It is sprawling, terrifyingly complex universe. Actually, it is a really terrifying, complex universe. Just imagine. There is a scene, I won't be spoiling this, but there is a scene where a kid dies. And why does he die? Because he had seen something he shouldn't have seen. And the scene that he has seen is the one that kills him. And let me tell you, That comes in the earlier of the season. You do not want to miss it. I didn't miss it and I'm traumatized now. I'm literally telling you these shit. Whether you'll be revisiting at how it will all begin or experiencing it for the first time, season 1 remains as textbook example of how to launch an epic. Now, this was my review. If you like my review, if you didn't like it, please comment down. Please tell me whether I should review the next seasons or should I switch my content to another thing. Also, drop a comment below if you like my video. Subscribe, share and like the video. I will be seeing you in a next video with the next topic. Peace out. This is Gecko Yudi signing off. Sayonara.